Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AMN Live Q&A. We are so excited for today's session. We have a really fun topic. As you can see, we have probably the largest group we've ever had with us. We are going to be talking about tech tips for interpreters, and this is just an awesome topic because technology, it's our friend, sometimes it's our foe, but it's everywhere now, right? And in the VRI interpreting space, it's 100% part of the whole thing. So we have a lot to talk about. We'll go ahead and get right into it. But before we do, just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, for all of our listeners, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join. Just want to remind you that we really want to hear from you, right? So, make sure you're dropping your questions into the chat. We'll be sure and answer them as soon as we can. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce myself, and then I'm going to introduce my lovely colleagues here. So I'm Kristen Burke. I'm the recruiting manager for language services, and I will have Ivan go ahead and start with a little introduction if you can.
Thank you so much. Yes, hi everyone. My name is Ivan. I've been working in the remote interpreting industry since 2016 already, and I'm also a certified medical interpreter by MBCMI. Well, in regards of my educational background, I have a degree in literature as well, and I am completing another degree in adult teaching. Back in 2021, I became a training consultant with AMN, where I help new medical interpreters to get ready to begin their careers with us. So I have had the privilege of helping people connect through language for many years already, and I'm very excited to be here today to share some tips and insights on video remote interpreting technology. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Ivan. Emmanuel, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Emmanuel Chacon. I've been with the company for 6 years now. I started as an audio-only interpreter, then moved to video, and after a couple of years, I became a team lead and well, assisting different departments, not only internal agents, but more currently, I've been working as a team lead coordinator. And yes, I'm just excited to be here and to share applicable tips that will be useful for everyone to motivate them. And yes, hopefully they will give the next step and be part of AMN.
Thank you. That's great. All right, Paul, you're up next.
All right. I'm Paul. With the TST department. So those moments when the computer is your foe, we are one of the people you would hear when you have to call in for some support. I've been with AMN for 2 years now, and I've been doing technology in the realm of help desk and support for the better part of 2 decades now. So it's been a little bit.
Awesome. We couldn't do it without you, Paul. All right, and Angelina.
Hello, my name is Angelina Garcia. I am the Language Access Program Manager for my healthcare organization, and I am the responsible one for leading a lot of the deployment of ANM services, and we are an end user of interpreting services as well. And I've been doing this work since 2016.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is really cool. We have Angelina is a client of ours. So you get kind of the full spectrum here. We have, those who use the technology on the interpreting end, those who use it on the client end, and then those who are helping support the technology. So an all-star panel. We're joined by Trenton, our sign language interpreter, of course. So let's get started with the questions. The first one is for Emmanuel. So, what kind of tips would you give to new interpreters who maybe have never worked with VRI? They've only worked with in person or OPI.
Yes, well, I thought of three main points that will make things easier, but I think it's important to also give some context because, well, as you may know, in healthcare, immediate communication is crucial. And more and more providers are advancing toward this direction of the video remote interpreting. And it's just because it's faster and easier to just grab your smartphone, laptop, or tablet and get a qualified interpreter on the line. Now, we're basically one push of a button away, in other words. So they also appreciate the fact that our platform is user friendly, and not only for them, for us as interpreters, is user friendly, and you don't require, and this is important to mention, you don't require a high level of technical expertise to manage our platform. And of course, with the right guidance and the correct approach, you will do a transition, especially if you've never worked in video, in order to be successful. So to start this process, I thought of the three main aspects. The main one would be to familiarize yourself with the system. Spend time practicing. Practicing makes the master, as you know. So get comfortable with, well, just overall understanding the equipment, navigating the system, knowing where to click on, that type of thing. Okay, and that's really important. And we have an excellent training team that will support you along the way. And not only that, if that's not enough, well, of course, we will be there as team leads, or we have the IT department. They will support you 24/7, so you will not be alone, basically.
Yeah.
Now, the number two aspect is, of course, and this is a difference if you compare it to in-person interpreting, because you are not physically present at an office. You have to make the necessary accommodations at home, and you have to create a professional workspace, distraction-free. You don't want to have your children, pets, or any relatives walking in and out of the room, right? The idea is that you are HIPAA compliant and that you respect the fact that you will be discussing sensitive topics, right? Protected health information, PHI. And again, if you have someone available, I mean, someone around you, they will be distracting, and you have to avoid that. Other elements that are important, of course, you have to keep some good lighting, um, a background that is not distracting, that looks professional. You have to be in a correct posture, keep eye contact, of course. And those are things that you can just work on. The training team will be there to assist you. And
Yeah.
yes, just the third one, I know I'm talking a lot, but the third one would be to manage the technical expectations. Basically, be prepared for any hiccups, glitches. Those are not common. However, you have to be prepared when that happens. So stay informed about any schedule outages in your area or basically any changes in the platform. Just to stay informed and keep yourself up to date and know how to ask for help when needed. That's really important. And yes, if you follow those three steps, you will set up yourself for success.
That's great. Yeah, excellent advice. So you mentioned something about practice, and that kind of leads me to a question for Ivan. Is there a practice environment, like during training, before the interpreter goes live taking VRI calls?
Yes, we do. And this is a really good question. This is actually at the core and essence of what we do in training, making sure that they feel and they are ready as well with the necessary tools to do their job. Definitely, we want them to get familiarized with the platform before they go into those live sessions. And we have qualified coaches there to be able to support their questions, to go over all of the different features that we navigate there. So yes, definitely we take some time in training to go over thorough practice there so they can feel ready whenever they have the opportunity to interact with providers and patients.
Good. Thank you so much. All right. So, next question is for Paul. So, if say I'm an interpreter and I've run into a technical issue,
Mhm.
aside from calling the help desk, what kind of advice would you give someone in that case?
So it's tricky in a sense that, a technical issue could be so many different things. But one thing I would always recommend to try, most of the interpreters do it anyway, but is to just clear the cache and cookies on your browser, just to make sure, because sometimes the website will hold onto an errored state. And if you just clear it out, it'll load a brand new state. And usually that'll resolve some issues. Sometimes something just as simple as trying to restart the computer, just simply shutting it off, turning it back on again. Usually there's probably a good 80% of issues that could be resolved from that alone. But, again, as was stated earlier by Emmanuel, we are here 24/7. So even if all else fails, give us a call. There's going to be somebody here who will be able to assist you through whatever issue may be plaguing you at that time.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, and that the restart, right? That's always my best friend. Um, so I know Emmanuel kind of mentioned, you don't need to be very technical to do this job. Paul, can you elaborate from your side, like what kind of technical skills does someone need to be successful in this role?
Honestly, not as much as you might think. If you have a basic understanding of how to interact with a computer, how to go to, if you need to go to, in this case, Google Chrome to log into a website, you need to understand the basics of how to interact. And that's really where you would need to come from. The rest of it, again, like Emmanuel was stating earlier, is practice. The more you get used to it and the more you engage with it, you know, you're going to become great. And again, as before, if you run into an issue where you're even just with functional of something like Teams, for example, I'm not too sure how to do this, give us a call. We're happy to help you, walk you through whatever you might be trying to do. And we'll, if we can't give you an answer, we will certainly find a way to get you to the place where you would find whatever it is that you're looking for.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So, next question is for Ivan. And I know Emmanuel touched on this a little bit too, but how does the training team kind of prepare interpreters for working successfully in VRI as far as the technology piece goes?
Absolutely, thank you. Well, one of the first things we talk about is making sure their background looks professional. Since they are on camera, it's not just about what they say, but also how they present themselves to the providers and patients. We also guide them on how to keep good eye contact while taking notes. We understand that that can be challenging, definitely sometimes, especially for interpreters who are new to this technology. And this is really important in consecutive interpreting as well. When you need to balance listening, note taking, technology demands, as Paul was mentioned before, and of course, keeping that connection with the client. And another thing that we do with new interpreters is to help them get familiarized with the platform, as I mentioned before. Of course, that happens before jumping into live sessions. So if they encounter system issues, they would know how to approach them and when to request for technical support as well. On the other hand, a big part of training is helping interpreters deal with the emotional side of things while using VRI technology. The fact that we are working remotely doesn't make us less vulnerable to difficult and emotional situations. And I think it is essential to stay professional. And we also want to keep that human touch through technology as well. So we talk about staying empathetic without letting emotions take over. We have courses on that as well, specifically addressing those topics. And one thing that I love about VRI is how the video aspect can actually enhance communication. Being able to see facial expressions or body language really adds context to what is being said. And we train our interpreters to take full advantage of that. It's like having an extra tool in the toolbox to make sure that the message come across clear. And let me tell you something about that, which is, I think, very interesting. The majority of the times we get very positive feedback from interpreters who are transitioning from over the phone to video remote interpreting, and even from in-person interpreters as well, because this technology is very user-friendly, as Emmanuel was mentioning before. And of course, we don't ignore the physical demands of our job. We have to be honest, sitting in front of a screen all day can be tiring. And we have to coach our interpreters as well on how to set up their work environment in a way that is healthy. Things like having a comfortable chair, taking breaks on time as well, keeping themselves hydrated, very simple things, stretching their muscles whenever they have the opportunity. So it's not just about interpreting and technical or technology skills, it's also about staying well so we can do our best as interpreters.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I know you mentioned, and it's been mentioned a couple times now in terms of like the home office and the HIPAA compliance and the technical requirements. And we've mentioned it a few times. This is something that is mentioned all throughout the hiring process as well. So my team is discussing this all the time, and it cannot be stressed enough that
Mhm.
these things truly are important, right? And we do have requirements of our remote employees. So anyone who's listening, who's interested in working with us, yes, it's great to work from home, but you do have to kind of meet these certain technical requirements as well. Okay, it looks like we have a couple questions in the chat that I will pop off and answer real quick. How does the process of hiring at AMN work? Well, the first and best thing to do is go to our website. You can actually go to the careers page. You can view all of our open jobs. We have VRI, and we also have some over the phone and in person work. So you can take a look at what languages we're hiring for, apply, and then we do have a bit of a process to go through. A language assessment, unless you have a national certification, a few interviews, and then there's just some onboarding. And we will actually send you all the equipment if you choose to go the VRI route. That's another good thing to mention. We do provide equipment. Um, so yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's pretty lengthy, but I don't want to take all of our time. So next question, somebody who lives in northern Mexico, and oh, they're asking if we train for VRI online. That's a really good question. Ivan, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, I can take that one too. Thank you, Kristen. Yes, all of our training and courses are going to be online. You just have to connect with us at the stated time according to your recruiter, and we guide you as coaches. We would be there. You guys are going to be able to complete that content, those courses with a coach, maybe next to you, but they're watching your progress and all of that. So yes, we have online training accessible every weekday.
Yes, our training team is great. And this, Jaime is the name of the person that asked that question. Jaime, definitely apply because it looks like he has a 40-hour training, which we always love to see. So definitely throw in your application. Um, and we have a question from Keziah. I may have said that wrong. I'm sorry. Um, that there's an opening for Swahili and VRI. We do not hire out of Kenya, unfortunately. So we currently hire from the US, Mexico, and Costa Rica. Um, but good question. Okay, so let's see. We have something called the whiteboard, and this is going to be actually some good information for me. I've never used the whiteboard. I'm not an interpreter myself. So, Emmanuel, could you kind of tell me a little bit of how the whiteboard works and what it is?
Yes, the whiteboard is basically this chat-like feature in the platform. It's similar to a comment box where you can just type in a message in case, well, again, in the rare occasion you have an audio issue, for example, you can just type in a message explaining, okay, I need a couple of seconds while the connection is being established. Something like that, right? To inform all the parties. And yes, it's a feature that is available to our VRI interpreters. It's useful in video, of course, not in audio, but yes, you can always use it to type in any messages, or even if the provider is going to be on a long hold, you can place a message saying, I'm waiting for the provider. And yes, that will inform all the parties that, well, you're on a hold, right? So it's useful, and it will be available to you. It's very easy to use. It will be basically at the bottom of the screen. So you will not have any issues handling the whiteboard.
That's great. Yeah, and I've heard sometimes when there's like measurements or medications, something that you really
Exactly.
want to be sure is accurate, you can spell it out there.
Yes, that's also useful for any medications, any names, or things that you really need to have available for the patient. You can just type it in there, and it will be much easier for them.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, looks like I have a couple more questions coming through. Um, I've already applied. No interview for Somali. So Somali, we are not hiring, and we get questions about certain languages all the time. I would encourage you just to keep checking back. We're always, changing based on business needs, what languages we hire. So, even today, if we're not hiring Somali, that doesn't mean in, 2 weeks we might be. So, and oh, this is a really good one. So I am not sure. I'll let you guys decide who wants to take this one. This is a good question from Kathia. She says she's only worked as an OPI. She's already completed the process. She's just waiting to finalize, but she's nervous for the video part. Any tips on how to kind of loosen up, and then also note taking skills?
All right. I guess I can help with that one too. Yes, basically, to be comfortable, you have to, well, nothing beats the experience that you will gain with time. But again, just getting to know the tools and how to escalate an issue if you have an issue, how to do it effectively will make you feel more confident and, well, be more productive. There are some nuances or things that you can do with time. If you learn how to use the platform overall, you will be successful. Staying informed about any new added features in the platform, about any updated version of the platform, things like that will always help. Okay, I can think of some examples that you can apply to your day-to-day routine to feel more confident. Basically, well, we do have this refresh button as well, which is an option available in the platform. In case you have an audio issue, for example, you can just press it, and that's a good fixer for many video or audio issues. Okay, you can always communicate to all the parties, let them know that, well, you are basically refreshing, and they will appreciate that you're communicating and that you're trying to troubleshoot at the moment. Things that will make you feel better as well. You can test the audio or video prior to starting your shift, a couple of minutes earlier, maybe, just to make sure everything is well plugged in, that everything is looking good. And again, that will minimize the impact of any issues you may encounter. Those are not common anyway, but in the rare occasion that happens, you'll know what to do. And
Awesome.
yes, well, I'll stop now.
No, that's good. That was great. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm dying to hear from Angelina, our client. Um, what is your perspective on our technology? How has the experience been on your end working with our VRI technology?
Thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate that. I'm with everybody. Technology can be a blessing and a curse at the same time, but in this case, it's definitely a blessing. VRI has, impacted our workflows significantly, especially during COVID, where we couldn't have additional people in rooms with COVID. So we heavily depended on VRI, and it was basically a lifesaver in all the sense because um, we had to limit our use of PPE, and we had to ensure that patients were also still being treated and communication was still effective. And again, we have had positive outcomes with VRI services, and the one thing that I do um, want to say is sometimes as the interpreter, you have to make sure that you're owning that conversation, that you're making sure that you are that conduit, you are the voice of the provider and the patient, and it's your responsibility to ensure that everybody understands. But other than that, it's a great tool.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just your COVID example really hit home because, oh, it's just amazing to think of what would have happened had we not had, VRI as an option, right?
Definitely.
So, okay, we have a few more questions that have come through. Tanya has applied for Haitian Creole. We unfortunately are kind of on pause right now, but again, stay tuned. That's one that we hired, I mean, tons and tons of interpreters a couple months ago. We're on hold right now, but stay tuned. You might get contacted in a few months. That can all change. Um, and then, is there a specific place in Mexico that I have to live, or can I apply for the position from any state? And that's from Nivek. Yes, you can apply from anywhere within Mexico. Good question.
I would throw in a slight caveat to that as well. You
Oh,
have to make
yes.
sure you are within a broadband connected area. We wouldn't be able to accommodate if it's like a cellular or a satellite signal. It would need to be a broadband connection to do the video interpreting.
Excellent, excellent call out. Yes, very important. Um, okay, somebody asking about their assessment. They're in process now. We do have a language assessment that's typically required unless you have a national certification. And they've asked if they can retake if they failed. Unfortunately, we don't do a retake, but we do have some training options that we might be able to kind of accommodate you. So, Teresia, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering these names. Um, just stay in touch with your recruiter and they can definitely advise you on the next steps. Okay. And okay, back to Angelina. One more question for you. What are some tips that you would give to maybe other healthcare professionals that might be in the audience to have them set up VRI technology for the first time?
Great question. I would really encourage you to ask what their needs are. Um, for example, our need was VRI services in every exam room in the emergency department because we are one of the busiest hospitals in the state, um, that it required us to have VRI options in every exam room. Listen um, to your team, to your departments, to your clinics. They know what they need, and you will sometimes have individuals who are on a spectrum. Either they love technology or they hate it, and you just have to work with them and show them that technology is a friend, not a foe, because I've had to handle every situation. And for the most part, technology, it works when it wants to. and like Paul said, you sometimes have to restart it. Sometimes you have to make sure that, it's the network is working. So you just have to troubleshoot and make sure that, don't let those negative interactions be a result of why they don't adopt the technology, because it does happen. Technology is sometimes um, un what's the word I want to use? Yeah,
Unreliable.
unpredictable,
Yeah.
unpredictable.
Both of those things.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you're right about just not being afraid of it, right? I remember at one point in my life, I was kind of afraid to break something. And I think at this point, I've realized, all right, I'm not probably going to break anything. So I can remove that fear. So, okay, couple more questions. We've got a lot of questions, which is awesome. Part-time positions for Spanish, somebody's asking about. Again, I would encourage you to check our website. We do have some Spanish interpreting positions open, but that's one thing we're kind of always hiring for. The shifts are going to be a little different right now, so definitely throw in an application and you can talk to a recruiter about the available shifts. And Maria is asking about interpreting. She does not have any experience. This is a good question. What do you recommend we do as to how to attain experience? So a couple of options. There are, lots of great trainings you can get nationwide. There's Bridging the Gap is probably the most well-recognized one in the United States. Also, I would encourage you to, depending on your language, if we're hiring, throw in an application. We do have a training team. In some situations, we can, train and give you those skills here as well. So, good question. We are getting, actually, we're a little over time, but I did just want to ask Paul, because I know our audience loves to hear real life stories. So, Paul, I know you probably have 20 of these in your mind, but tell us about a time that you had an interpreter who was totally stressed out and they called you and you helped them accomplish their tech thing.
So actually, I mean, it's interesting. We've had so many conversations about, people who wanted to get into the field, get into becoming a VRI. That is probably one of my favorite ones because it almost feels like we're the first interaction in regards to them having to come in with the technology. And there's so many times where they're so concerned because they may not have really used a computer very much until that point, and they're trying to get everything plugged in, and they're not sure which cable goes to what one is needed to go where, and being able to just help them. And you can hear it in the call. You can hear them start to settle and start to relax and start to appreciate, oh, okay, I do know what this is. I am understanding what this is supposed to do. Those, I have a million of them like that, and those are always my favorite because it just, much like them when they are interpreting for someone who's going through a rough medical situation, I get to interpret the technology for them, and I get to almost experience that same level of understanding that, wow, I helped this person through something that, they may not have been able to do on their own or understand what was going on their own. And it's so rewarding to be able to be that person to say, hey, no, you got this. You do understand what is going on here, and I'm going to make sure that you understand what is going on here.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's I have to say one thing about working at AMN is we are always like, it doesn't matter what department you're working with, somebody is always eager to help, and I feel like the support we have here is truly different than other places. I'm going to brag a little bit. But yeah, that's great. So we are at time, and I know we had a few questions. I want to try to get a couple more in, if that's okay, and then we'll wrap it up. No is asking if he can apply for OPI only. Yes, we do have several OPI positions. Again, it's going to depend on the language that you're looking to interpret. We don't offer, unfortunately, all languages all the time. So just check our website. Um, and then Polly is asking, during sessions of video interpreting while you're waiting for the client, usually medical providers, and only the LEP is there, can interpreters turn off their video until the clients get there? Good question. Ivan or Emmanuel, do
Mhm.
you guys want to take, one of you want to take that?
Absolutely, yes. We have set already some protocols for those situations. Whenever the provider is absent, of course, we try to avoid engaging in a side conversation with the patient. But we still want to remain on camera as much as possible. Of course, if we see that happening, where the patient comes to the interpreter trying to discuss their medical health problem, we just try to remind them about our responsibilities as the interpreter, and see if that helps. Of course, we remain on camera again. We can also ask the provider to move the device outside the room. We can also ask the provider if they are present to move the device towards a wall, so we don't have that direct eye contact with the patient. Yes, we have several protocols. We go over those in training as well. We have some scripting as well that we can use, and it would help you navigate situations like those, definitely.
That's great.
Mhm.
Thank you so
Sure.
much. So, we are at the top of the hour here, and I just want to thank all of our listeners. The questions were great. Special thank you to Angelina. You took time out of your busy day to come join us, and thank you so much for your expertise. Thank you to Paul, Ivan, Emmanuel. Thank you to Trenton and Audrey behind the scenes interpreting for us. Um, have a great day, everybody.